Hi, you're a human. You have a brain that won't shut up, feelings that show up uninvited, and at least once a week you do something that makes you go, why did I just do that? Welcome to psychology. It's the science of why we are the way we are. And spoiler, most of the time the answer is, it's complicated. First big problem, you can't see thoughts. You can't open someone's head and watch their inner monologue like a bad movie. So psychologists have to get creative. They watch what people do, run experiments, ask a million questions, scan brains, and sometimes just observe rats in mazes until everyone involved questions their life choices. The whole field officially kicked off in 1879 when Wilhelm Wundt set up the first psychology lab in Germany. He was like, let's measure how fast people react to a ball dropping. People sat there describing their own thoughts. It was called introspection. It sounded scientific, but it was basically describe your vibe right now. Turns out vibes are hard to measure. Shocker. Then, Sigmund Freud rolled in from Vienna with a cigar and zero chill. Freud said everything, literally everything, boils down to sex, aggression, and stuff that happened to you before you were 5. Your mind has 3 parts: the id, your inner screaming toddler that wants pleasure now; the ego, your exhausted adult trying to keep the toddler from burning the house down; and the superego, your inner judgmental parent who guilt trips you for even thinking about the pleasure. Repress those urges too hard and you get neurosis. Dream about snakes? Sex. Dream about trains going into tunnels? Still sex. Fall off a cliff in a dream. You secretly want to have sex with your mom, or something. Freud was big on dreams, slips of the tongue, and free association. Lie on a couch and say whatever pops into your head while he nods mysteriously. People loved it. People also hated it. Still do. By the early 1900s, everyone was tired of the untestable sex theories, so behaviorism showed up like a buzzkill at a party. John Watson and later B.F. Skinner said, forget the mind. We can't see it. Let's just study behavior. If you ring a bell and give a dog food, eventually the bell alone makes the dog drool. That's classical conditioning, Pavlov's famous accident.
Here's a classic visual of Pavlov's dog experiment to show how it works. Operant conditioning is Skinner. Reward good behavior, punish bad, and you shape what people, or rats or pigeons, do. Press the lever, get a pellet. Press it again, get shocked. Guess what? Lever pressing drops fast. Watson took it further with little Albert. Took a baby who liked white rats, paired the rat with a loud, scary noise, and boom, the kid became terrified of anything fluffy and white. Ethical? Hell no. Insightful? Unfortunately, yes. Behaviorism ruled for decades because it was measurable. No inner mystery, just stimulus and response. But it treated humans like fancy rats. So in the 1950s and 60s, the humanists pushed back. Abraham Maslow and Carl Rogers said, hey, people aren't just avoiding pain and chasing rewards. We want to grow, to become our best selves. Here's the famous pyramid that changed how we think about motivation. Maslow gave us the hierarchy of needs. It's that pyramid you saw in school. Bottom, physiological. Air, food, water, sleep. Next, safety. Shelter, no one trying to murder you. Then love and belonging. Friends, family, not eating alone every night. Then esteem, feeling competent, respected. Top, self-actualization. Becoming the person you're meant to be, sincerely. You can't chase your passion if you're starving or lonely. The pyramid isn't perfect science, but it's a solid reminder. Fix the basics first. Carl Rogers said therapy shouldn't be the therapist acting like they know everything. Just give people unconditional, positive regard. Accept them completely, no judgment. Let them figure themselves out. Sounds soft. It actually works pretty well. Around the same time, cognitive psychology said, wait, we can study the mind. Let's treat it like a computer. Information comes in, gets processed, stored, and retrieved. Memory isn't one thing, it's three. Sensory memory lasts a second, gone if you don't pay attention. Short-term or working memory holds about 7 things for 20 to 30 seconds, and long-term memory could last a lifetime. To get stuff into long-term, you need encoding. Pay attention, make it meaningful. Chunking helps. Phone numbers are grouped for a reason. Retrieval is pulling it back out. Ever walk into a room and forget why? Context changed, cue disappeared. To recall is harder than recognition. That's why multiple choice feels easier than fill in the blank.
Cognitive therapists realized thoughts drive feelings, drive behavior. Depressed people don't just feel sad, they think sad thoughts like, I'm worthless, everything sucks, this will never get better. Change the thoughts, change the feelings. That's the core of CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. It's fast, practical, and backed by mountains of evidence. Gold standard for anxiety, depression, phobias, you name it. How do we learn? 3 big ways. Classical conditioning. You pair 2 things until one triggers the response. You hear the ice cream truck music and instantly salivate. Operant. Consequences shape behavior. Good grades? You study more. Get ghosted after texting too much? You maybe text less. Or more. Depends on the person. Social learning. We watch and copy. Albert Bandura's Bobo doll experiment. Kids saw adults beat up an inflatable clown doll, then got a chance to play with it. Guess what the kids did? They punched, kicked, and yelled the exact same insults. We learn aggression, kindness, dance moves, bad habits, all by watching others. Monkey see, monkey do, literally. Here's a shot from the actual Bobo doll experiment. Kids copying exactly what they saw. Now, development, how we change over a lifetime. Jean Piaget said kids aren't many adults. They think differently. 4 stages. Sensory motor, birth to 2. Learn through senses and actions, object permanence kicks in. Pre-operational, 2 to 7. Language explodes, but thinking is magical and egocentric. You think everyone sees what you see. Concrete operational, 7 to 11. Logic appears. You get conservation, same amount of water in a tall glass or short one. Formal operational, 11 plus. Abstract thinking, hypotheticals, teenage arguments about justice. Attachment theory, John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth. Babies form bonds with caregivers. Secure attachment, caregiver is reliable, kid explores confidently. Anxious, caregiver inconsistent, kid clings. Avoidant, caregiver distant, kid acts independent but isn't really. Disorganized, caregiver scary, kid is a mess. Gentle. Those early patterns echo into adult relationships. The anxious one texts, "Are we okay?" The avoidant one replies 3 days later with K. Personality, what makes you, you? The Big 5 model is the closest we have to consensus. Openness, how imaginative and open to new things versus practical and routine. Conscientiousness, organized and responsible versus messy and carefree. Extroversion, energized by people versus drained by them. Agreeableness, cooperative and kind versus competitive and blunt. Neuroticism, emotionally reactive versus chill under pressure. You are somewhere on each scale. No one is all or nothing.
Where does personality come from? Half genes, half environment. Twin studies show identical twins raised apart are scarily similar. But trauma, parenting, culture, they all shape you too. Emotions, 6 basics across cultures. Happiness, sadness, fear, anger, disgust, surprise. Paul Ekman found the same facial expressions everywhere. Emotions evolved for survival. Fear makes you run. Disgust keeps you from eating poison. Anger prepares you to fight. Modern life gives us road rage instead of saber-toothed tiger fights. Your body still reacts the same. Heart racing, adrenaline pumping. Here's a clear chart of Paul Ekman's 6 universal facial expressions. They're the same worldwide. Stress, Short bursts are useful. Fight or flight saved your ancestors. Chronic stress, your body wasn't built for it. Cortisol stays high, immune system tanks, heart suffers, anxiety and depression show up. Hans Selye's general adaptation syndrome: alarm, resistance, exhaustion, crash. Perception, how we make sense of the world. It's not a camera, it's a construction. Senses send raw data, brain fills in the blanks using expectations. Optical illusions prove it. Gestalt principles. We group things by proximity, similarity, continuity. Your brain hates ambiguity, so it makes quick guesses, sometimes wrong, but fast. Consciousness. What even is it? You're aware right now, but why and how? Sleep cycles. Light sleep, deep sleep, REM, where dreaming happens. Dreams probably process emotions and consolidate memories. Drugs mess with it. Alcohol suppresses REM, caffeine blocks sleep signals, psychedelics turn the volume up to 11. Free will. Do we have it? Experiments like Libet's show your brain starts moving your finger before you decide to move it. Spooky. But we act as if free will exists because otherwise society falls apart. The brain itself, 86 billion neurons firing electrical signals, talking via chemicals. Phineas Gage, an iron rod through his frontal lobe in 1848, nice guy turned rude and impulsive overnight. Showed personality lives in the brain, not some mystical soul. Here's the famous before and after of Phineas Gage, one of the wildest cases in brain science. Lobes: frontal, planning, decision-making, personality; parietal, touch and spatial; temporal, hearing and memory; occipital, for vision; limbic system underneath, amygdala for fear and emotion; hippocampus for forming new memories; hypothalamus for hunger, thirst, sex drive, and rage. Neuroplasticity. Your brain rewires itself. London taxi drivers grow bigger hippocampi from memorizing streets. Learn a skill, brain changes. Have a stroke, other parts can sometimes take over. You're not fixed. End of part 1. We covered history, major schools, learning, development, personality, emotions, perception, consciousness, and a quick brain tour. Part 2 gets into disorders, therapy, social psychology, and why humans are predictably irrational. If you want it, smash that like button. Seriously, this took forever. See you in part 2. Music.